Let's get back to the wide receiver conversation, and you guys definitely offer up what you're thinking. 6'4", 10'10". Is this the best receiving core that Trevor Lawrence has had? By the numbers, is it deeper? You might say so, but let's just add up a couple of quick things here. When you had Calvin Ridley added to Zay Jones and Chris Kirk and Evan Ingram last year, you had a battery of 3 wide receivers, a tight end, all very capable, doing a lot of good things for them, and really kind of paced them when everybody was healthy to where they were in the winner's circle running that 5-game win streak together. Before that, we mentioned the years before. Don't forget about what Marvin Jones was able to do. He was kind of the, quote, security blanket that Trevor had when he needed to get that first down going back to the 22 season. And you got to kind of figure out who the pieces and parts are this year.
Yeah, I mean, we can speculate all we want to. Does it on paper, it looks real good, but that 22 team, down the stretch, they knew there was big plays made by that receiving goal all through that 22 season. I think that 22 season, those wide receivers were legit at the crucial times that they were needed. Absolutely. I mean, last year, we had some early success with the wide receivers, and they floundered down. They floundered down the stretch. But this team, right now, on paper, looks like it's built for speed. You're going to have a lot of speed guys on there, but it's yet to be seen. But that 2022 team, that wide receiver core, just think about all the big plays against the Cowboys, against the Raiders. Oh, yeah. All those big catches, big first downs, all that kind of stuff, big conversions. I mean, it'll be tough to beat that one. And that 22 team was pretty special.
Marvin Jones, just in the couple of years he was here, over 1,300 yards, 11-plus yards per catch, was able to haul it in, 119 grabs. And those are the types of guys that you need and you can call him the glue guy, you can come up with a different phrase if you want, but it's those guys that you expect when you need it most to come up with the big catch. And he was a move the chains guy, he really was. But you start going down, honestly, and this is all of Duval, you guys can chime in just how long it's been since you've had an elite receiving core, and I guess I would say the gap in time, because I'm going to include that 22 group as a pretty elite core collectively with what they were able to do. But I mentioned earlier, the total receiving yards, you do not get to your third wide receiver until you go past a running back and a tight end among the top 5 in Jaguars receiving history. A-Rob is in that 5th spot, then Allen Hurns is in that 6th spot. Allen Hurns was an undrafted Cane that came in here and still was able to jump up there and finish among the top 6 in receiving yards with nearly 2,700 in a Jaguars uniform. Kyle Brady, 2,500 yards. How about a round of applause for our man Freddie T? Freddie T is 8th in the total yardage receiving category, but guess what else he is? College graduate. I love that, man. Freddie T went back, made a promise, kept the promise to his family that he was going to be able to get his degree. And so Freddie is among the top 10 in receiving yards in Jacksonville Jaguar history, with just over 2,300. Then Cecil Shorts, then Reggie Williams. They make up the top 10. It's nuts. Let's make this the 10-10 take, because I've got to see more out of this football team, especially out of that wide receiver room this season.
Now, Joe C's 10-10 take. Slow smoked and served up by Sonny's Barbecue. Local pitmasters since '68.
I know Jaguar fans out there are clamoring for a superstar that's going to stay in the teal and black and just ride out a great career, like a Freddie T, like a Mercedes. We can go back and think of MJD. Let's just hope that a Brian Thomas stepping onto this wide receiver stage can be that cat. Just think about this, Brian. All you got to do is get around 1,000 yards each of your first 3 years. I know that's not. That's a big ask, but when you think about it, it's only about 60 yards per game. That's it. And you will catapult yourself into the top 5 in receiving yards in Jacksonville Jaguar history. So Brian Thomas Jr., your first assignment is to come into Duval and start hauling in Trevor Lawrence passes and start moving your name up in the record books. All you can do is do it in 3 seasons' time, and you will become a legend. That is the 10-10 take. We need a guy like that. Christian Kirk's moving up. We've seen his numbers, obviously the first couple of years, show out to where he was definitely a good signing. Had he not got hurt last year, who knows exactly where he'd be, but he's still less than 2,000 yards.
I don't know about the 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons.
Listen, I'm dreaming right now.
I'd take him getting to a second contract. That'd be nice. Because then at that point, he's at least done something that's worthy of a second contract.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you get 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons out of him, I mean, you've hit on that draft.
Yeah, I'm just trying to help blueprint him because, we mentioned in the draft how few receivers in the first round, drafted in the first round, get that second contract. And what was it, 27%, Matty?
27%.
Yeah, 27%. That's just barely over 1 out of 4 get to a second contract.
Listen, I want him to live up to the legacy. LSU wide receivers, as of late, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, are elite number ones. That's what I'm expecting out of him.
Yeah.
He's got to be an elite number one. Hey, listen.
You're expecting Chase or Jefferson out of him?
Exactly. Why not?
Yeah, and look, bro, he has to average less than 60 yards a game to get 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
Is that too much to ask?
Listen, no, it isn't.
I do not think that's too much to ask. All right, listen, RJ has done the numbers, okay? And this is what we're looking at. All right, so we asked the question, is this the best wide receiver room that Trevor Lawrence will have had in his time being a Jacksonville Jaguar? And you can't help but go back and think, and we already have mentioned a handful of these guys, but it's just not where you would expect a team as a total to be when it comes to some of the, like you look back, you're like, wait a minute, where's the 1,500-yard receiver? Where's the Jamar Chase and the Justin Jefferson and the guys that you're talking about? All right, so 2021, Jack's receiving room, all right, this is the total in the receiving room, 361 grabs, 3,674 yards, 10 yards per reception was the average. And RJ says, I hope I got my math right. I'm trusting you, bro. I'm trusting you. 10 yards per catch, only 12 touchdowns out of the receiving room in 2021, 178 first downs. This is the combination of Marvin Jones Jr., Visca Chenault. Anybody remember him? Visca? Laquan Treadwell?
Wow.
Anybody? Dan Arnold, as we said, the house that Arnold built. And that was the total with 312 targets, 197 receptions, 2,200 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Okay, you start thinking about that, man? That is just awful. All right, 2022, real quick. 2022, Jags receiving yards, 394 grabs, 4,148 receiving yards, 10.5 yards per reception. At least it had a little bit of an uptick. But the biggest difference is it went from 12 touchdowns to 25 touchdowns. Went from 178 first downs to 208 first downs. So look, I will take that. The combination of Kirk, Jones, and Ingram, 433 targets, 285 grabs, 3,226 yards, and 20 touchdowns.
All right, so
Give me that.
I'm going to give you a saucy nug right now. Okay?
All right, here's a saucy coming up.
You were saying all I want is 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons. I mean, what did you say? It's only 60 yards a game, right?
Yeah,
That's what you said.
58 and some change.
All right.
If you can believe it.
There were 28 receivers had 1,000 yards last year in the NFL. 27 were wide receivers. One was a tight end, George Kittle. Okay? So I'm going to go on the assumption that everybody's running 3 wide. So that's 96 receivers, starting receivers, all right?
Well, yeah, they get enough plays.
You're
so
doing my saucy nug right now.
Yeah.
So that's 96 receivers, okay? If 27 of them had 1,000 yards, that's 28% of those receivers that had 1,000-yard seasons. In other words, dead on accurate with the 27% that get to the second contract. So
that's a saucy.
So you can talk about your 3 straight 1,000. It's not that difficult. It clearly is difficult. 28% of the receivers in the league can do it.
I'm Duval dreaming. I'm wishing.
I hope it happens too. All I'm telling you is, if I'm out there and I'm a fan, I'm driving around thinking, yeah, BT's going to do X, Y, and Z. Just see it first.
So
see it first. Verify, then
right.
believe.
Yeah, I do want a verification. I do want that. All right, so here's 2023 real quick. All right, so receiving yards, receiving total, 412 grabs this past year. 4,377 yards, which was at least just a little bit more than they had the year before. 10.6 yards per reception, 22 touchdowns, which was 3 less than the year before. 199 first downs, a little bit less than the year before. And then you had the Ridley, Kirk, Ingram, Jones combination, 428 targets, 3,087 yards, 281 receptions, and 17 touchdowns. So 2022, right now, bearing out all things considered, 10.5 yards per catch, 25 touchdowns. They've got a chance. They've got a chance. Let's come back and talk about whether or not we think they can beat that number this year. Okay?
I think we just tamped down on Leon's hope of he wants Chase or Jefferson. The look on his face is kind of like I might have been wrong.
No, I'm still a believer. You're a dream killer.
Yeah.
You-
Don't dream kill. Don't dream kill
I'm
right
just
now.
giving you facts, man.
I appreciate it. I appreciate
Numbers.
facts. I absolutely appreciate facts.
I love the man. See, Leon's got that strobe light working. He's got a little Barry White playing,
There you
and
go.
he's just dreaming and having himself a good time.
Absolutely.
All right, let us know. Can they do it? 641-1010.